What's going on YouTube? So of course, three-row SUVs are extremely popular in the US, and Volkswagen has offered one of the largest options in the segment, the Atlas, since 2018. But today we are standing next to the all-new second generation, which is not only getting even larger, but also doubling down on the refinement and luxury that the German automaker is known for. So does this new model have what it takes to beat the heavy hitters like Grand Highlander and Palisade? Well, let's go ahead and take a detailed first look to find out. So let's jump right in with the exterior design. So when you walk up to this new Atlas, you'll see a very clean and sophisticated design. It's a bit of an evolution from the previous generation and actually deviates a lot from many in the segment which are going for a super boxy look. This is a lot more smooth and elegant. Now you'll see up here in the front we've got the latest evolution of the Volkswagen grille. It's going to be a lot of sealed off elements with the body color as well as gloss black accents. What you're looking at today is the SEL R line. This is a top trim level. And of course, lighting is going to play a really prominent role with this new generation. So first of all, with our headlights, you can see we've got a brand new design. You have premium full LED projectors for standard equipment on all trims, and we've got this new light signature with the stacked crystal designs. Now you'll also see that you have a light bar effect that goes all the way across the front. Of course, the Atlas is one of the first Volkswagen models to introduce that, and this new model actually doubles it. So most trims will get two different light bars that go across the front as well as the illuminated logo you see there. Moving on to the wheels, you're going to have various different sizes between 18 and 21-inch alloys. As you can see, we've got a 21-inch alloy on board today with our loaded model. The overall design looks very similar to the Tiguan, and I think it's very handsome. You've got a little bit of cladding that goes around the wheel arches, but most of the body here does have the body color finish at the lower part. And as we move up here to our mirrors, of course, we expect to see standard blind spot monitoring and heating on all trims. Volkswagen's also adding auto dimming as a standard feature this year.
Now at the side of the all-new Atlas, I'm sure you're probably wondering how much bigger this product is as compared to the already big outgoing generation. Well, it's 201.7 inches, so it's about an inch longer compared to the previous generation Atlas, and it makes it very much in line with the largest options in the segment, such as the Toyota Grand Highlander. Now, as far as design touches, we have a little bit of chrome on our window surrounds. We also have the raised roof rails, and I have to say I love this paint color. This is one of three new paint colors. This is called Sacramento Green. There's also a blackberry and a sandstone color, which we first saw debut on the Tiguan. Now, as we head around to the rear design of this new Atlas, you certainly have that same sleek and elegant design. It definitely looks a little bit like an Audi, which certainly is a good thing. It looks very premium. And as far as individual design touches, we're looking at a spoiler up here at the top, an exposed rear window wiper, and let's take a look at the lighting. So what we have on board here is a full LED taillight cluster that includes your brake light, your turn signal, as well as your reverse light. You have the illuminated logo here, and new for 2027, you have a dynamic turn signal here in the back. And then dropping down to the lower fascia, this is all going to be finished in mostly body color. You have a tow hitch here, and it can tow 5,000 pounds as tested. Now this of course is a family three-row, so you need all of your active safety features to be standard equipment, and Volkswagen has done that this year. That will even include things like adaptive cruise control with a travel assist function, and new this year that also includes driver-initiated lane changing as well. Additionally, they're going to add an extra airbag in between the driver and passenger to add extra safety, and there's a lot to talk about on the inside when it comes to luxury. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Before we go on to the rest of the video, we want to take a second to tell you about our floor mats from LaceFit.
They have some of the best floor mats for a wide selection of almost any car brand, make, model, or year. Of course, they have them for brands like Toyota, but they additionally have them for other popular brands like Honda, Ram, and Ford, to name a few. That wide selection ensures that no matter what your vehicle preference, Lace Fit will have you covered.
Their mats have other advantages over the factory mats as well, like the TPE material they're made from. This makes the mats easy to install and durable enough to withstand long-term use without yellowing or hardening, as you can see demonstrated by our year-old mats. In addition, if you're like us and appreciate a clean car, when you do get the mats dirty, cleaning them is as easy as just rinsing with water.
So if you're ready to snag a set of these Lace Fit floor mats to protect your precious ride, whatever that may be sure to use code CC10 to save money on the Lace Fit website. A link is provided in the video description. Now let's get back to the video.
Now, like Mason was saying, there's a lot of luxury to look at on the inside, so let's jump right into that. So opening up the door here, you can see this interior design is very upscale as soon as you take a look at it. It's got a lot of design influence from that new Tiguan as well. And starting out with the seats, you are going to have a standard leatherette seat, and then as you move up the trims, you get to this top model. We have a Napa leather seat. Really nice feel to this. You got the perforation and the headrest running down the center section, as well as the color contrast piping, and you have some suede inserts here on the inside edge of the bolsters, which will hold you in place nicely. They're also very adjustable seats as well, so you have 12 ways of adjustment, and on the top trim we have a massage function for both the driver and the passenger side. That's certainly nice to see in this segment of vehicle. Plus you have memory seats, of course, located right above that. But let's go ahead and climb inside so we can get into all the details. And as I close up the door, I do want to mention that there's a really cool new interior color called Deep Wine. But of course, as you can see today, we just got the traditional gray finish. All right, let's look around at the overall cabin materials, because Atlas already had one of the most luxurious cabins, I think, in the segment. So let's see if they have upped their game this year. So starting out with our door trim, you'll see that we've got a two-tone leatherette finish here with stitching details. Also a very low profile door handle, I want to point out, so that's pretty cool. Through the center section, all of this will be finished in a leatherette with the color contrast piping, and we actually on the top trims get ambient lighting that runs behind the leatherette. That is pretty cool. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all a soft touch finish as well. We have more ambient lighting through here, and we have some genuine wood trim that runs all across the dashboard. One of the cool things about this is that Volkswagen says this is standard on all models, even the base trim level. Finally, as we move down to the center tunnel here, we have leatherette along the console there and a piano black finish. So I would say the material quality in here is definitely very, very good for the segment. Now you've got your push button start located in this square right here, and we'll see if we can get some of the electronics to fire up here in the studio. Now, of course, this is a very early prototype, so not everything's going to be fully functional. That being said, you can see the displays are kind of glowing here, and we can dive right into the interior details with that. Obviously, we've got the Volkswagen digital cockpit system. This is going to be reconfigurable like it is in many other Volkswagen products. And then up top here, we also have a head-up display for our loaded example. As far as the steering wheel is concerned, this is your typical Volkswagen steering wheel. One of the things that I'm noticing is that they're retaining the physical buttons. I know a few years ago they started to do the touch capacitive controls, but we've got the physical controls back in action, and a manual tilt and telescoping wheel with heating as well. Now, taking a look at interior storage. Very important for a big SUV like this. We'll start with the center console. Looks to be quite deep. Obviously, we don't have our donuts with us in New York City today for this first look, but I think this would fit a decent number, although not a class-leading amount. We have two cup holders here. It looks like they have illumination around them, and then this is something I want to point out. You'll see that we have actually two different wireless phone charging pads, and they look a little different than average because these are Qi 2 wireless chargers with MagSafe. So that means your phone will actually kind of fasten on to these and charge at 15 watts, so it'll be a lot faster than many other rival chargers. Finally, we've got our big center pass-through here with tons of flexibility in terms of what you want to store there. And that's because we no longer have a shifter on the console, even a small one. It's up here on the column, just like it is in many other VW products. You're just going to twist for drive and then twist the opposite way for reverse. A 360 camera will, of course, be offered as well. And then down here, what you thought might have been this shifter is going to be that drive mode controller and ambient lighting control that we first saw in the Tiguan. It's kind of like an Apple Watch, so you can hover over top of it, it'll bring up different menus, and then as you press on it and swipe, it is a little mini touch screen, and you can also use this as the volume knob if you prefer that over top of the swipe on the main display. Now, speaking of the main display, this is something I certainly need to talk about. You can see it is very, very large. It's actually a 15-inch display, and Volkswagen says this is standard on all but the base trim, so that means 90% of the Atlases they sell will have this large display. Now, of course, the software is going to be that signature VW software. You will have your climate controls integrated inside of the screen. You can see that you would swipe there to adjust that. It's going to be a 3-zone automatic setup. And then again, you have your dual volume controls right there and right there. You'll have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. And then as I move above here, we'll see the auto dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. This is not a digital camera rear view mirror though. And then lastly, we've got the very large panoramic sunroof. It's got a power sunshade and the front panel does open up.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat areas. That's, of course, very important for a family 3-row like this. And when it comes to space, we don't have official numbers from Volkswagen just yet. This is a very early first look, and we will have those details come out a little bit later on, but we expect this to be very similar in terms of space as compared to the outgoing Atlas, which was rated at around 38 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom. I can definitely tell you that the headroom still is very impressive for the segment. It feels like there's a ton of room. And of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I'm 5'9". And look at that, we're sitting at about 9.5 inches of knee space, so I'm definitely expecting a very good legroom figure here in the rear. My feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats, and speaking of the seats, they are quite comfortable back here. They have that same two-tone design, and I do want to point out we have the bench seating combination. That's going to give you overall seating capacity of 7 passengers, and captain's chairs are available on almost all trim levels, so that would be 6-passenger seating if you'd rather have that. We have a fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders inside. And let's talk about features. So here in the center, we have our own vents. We have our own climate adjustments because, of course, it is a 3-zone setup. And then down below, you will notice a new feature for 2026. And that's the fact that in addition to heated seats, you also have ventilated back seats. So that's definitely a bougie touch that we've seen on some of the rivals. And I'm definitely glad that Volkswagen is adding it for the Atlas to give you that extra luxury touch. 2 USBs down below, and we even have a household style outlet. Now, in addition to that, we have new vents located here on the B-pillar in addition to here. So you actually have 2 vents per passenger in the second row, which is pretty nice. Also nice is the fact that rear window sunshades are standard equipment on every single Atlas this year, not even just the high-end ones. The rest of the door trim is beautifully done with lots of leatherette all through here, the same ambient lighting here in the back, and you also have quite a bit of door storage. Let's go ahead and climb back into the third row. In order to get back here, all you do is lift up on this handle, and that's going to release the seat and allow it to slide out of the way. I like the fact that the seat back does not move because that does mean that you wouldn't necessarily have to remove a child's seat. Let's go ahead and get back here into the third row of the Atlas. Now, climbing back here, the Atlas was already one of the largest options in the segment, and I have to say, this third row is still very impressive. So what I'm thinking we'll be sitting at is around 33.5 inches of rear legroom. This seat is slid all the way back, and I still have, maybe a tiny bit of wiggle room for my knees. My feet can slide up underneath of the seats, and one of the things that I do like about the Atlas is the fact that the seats are nice and wide here in the third row, and that's because they've opted to do 2 seats back here instead of 3 seats. So if you need the maximum seating capacity, that's kind of a disappointment, but overall comfort, it's actually a little bit better. Now, as far as features, we have a storage cubby right here, 2 cup holders, a USB port, and vents located right there. There's not going to be third row heating or anything along those lines, and how this is going to rate on the third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is actually fit for adults. And let's go ahead and check out the cargo area, because that was one of the best elements about the Atlas before. And of course, for 2027, it's not going to shrink, that's for sure. Now, we do have a standard power tailgate on all models, and let's talk about the space. So once again, we don't have official numbers from Volkswagen at this point. However, they have said, in their press release that the spaciousness was retained, and also it's an inch larger than what it was before. So I am expecting a very similar number to the outgoing model, which would place it as one of the largest options in the segment. For your reference, that's going to be sitting right at about 20 cubic feet behind the third row, 55 cubic feet behind the second row, and 96 cubic feet if you fold all of the seats down, which once again, like I said, is good for the segment. And if you're curious as to how this might compare against some of its rivals, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you should do that is because we've looked at all the 3-row midsize SUVs on the market and ranked them in individual categories such as the third row, cargo space, interior luxury, powertrain choices, and even value. And you can sort the list based on the categories that matter most to you to really make an informed buying decision in this very competitive segment. So definitely check that out, carconfections.com. Now back to this. As you can see, we have a third row. However, there's not a power folding ability. So that's something that I kind of wish they had maybe added this year, but folding it down is not going to be too challenging or anything. You just lift up that handle and push down. And then to fold the second row, you will have to go up there and do it manually. And now that I've got those seats folded down, as you can see, we have a completely flat loading floor. I definitely like that. Let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures, because this is a Car Confections review after all. So behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, we are looking at a very good cargo length of 89 inches. That's pretty much expected given how long this vehicle is. And then behind the second row, with it slid all the way back, about 51 inches of length. From behind the third row, 23 inches of length. As far as the opening, it's going to be a little bit on the narrower side with 45 inches. And then as far as the height, that's very good. 32 inches tall. The load-in height is also coming in right around that 31-inch mark. And then underneath of the floor, there's a little bit of extra room. You're also going to have a spare tire for the Atlas.
Now, by this point in the review, you're probably wondering what is under the hood of this next-gen Atlas. Well, it is going to be pretty similar to the outgoing model. We have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but it is more powerful than ever before. It's making 282 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. So that is actually going to be up 13 horsepower over the previous generation, although it is down a little bit in torque, about 15 pound-feet of torque. Now, this is the only engine option that you're going to have for this 2027 Atlas. Volkswagen says they are planning a hybrid model, but it will be available at this model's mid-cycle refresh. So I'd expect that that's going to take another 2 to 3 years before you're ever going to see that hybrid option available. Now, in terms of the transmission, you've got an 8-speed automatic transmission, of course, front-wheel drive or available 4-motion all-wheel drive. And in terms of the fuel economy figures for this engine, Volkswagen says they are anticipating better fuel economy than the previous model. So for reference, that could get up to 23 miles per gallon combined with the front-wheel drive model. So if we bump that up by 1, that would be 24 mpg combined, which would be one of the better options in the segment in terms of fuel economy for a non-hybrid model. Now, of course, we can't wait to take this out on the road, which we will be doing as soon as we can, getting things like our signature sound level reading. So make sure you stay subscribed to the channel so you'll see that as soon as we can.
And now let's talk about pricing. So when it comes to pricing, once more, we don't have official details from Volkswagen just yet. That will come when this vehicle is closer to being on sale, which, by the way, Volkswagen is saying that this will be on sale in the U.S. in fall of 2026. So you'll have to wait a little bit longer if you want to get one of these 27 Atlas models. But as far as our pricing estimation, we're not expecting a big price increase over the current generation Atlas. So that starts at around $39,000 right now. I'd say the new base price will likely start around $40,000 or maybe $41,000, and then fully loaded a range topping model like this particular tester, I'd say, is going to be about $59,000 after destination. Now, if you're looking to buy a Volkswagen Atlas or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing any dealership negotiating. There's also things like a monthly payment tool, so you can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com/newcarquotes. And guys, that wraps up our first look review of the all-new 2027 Volkswagen Atlas. If you enjoyed watching this first look at this product, we'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out because we cover the latest and greatest cars. We'll catch you next time, and if you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support.